that I heard most frequently in the aftermath of the attacks was the Mr. Rogers quote. It says, how do we get through horrific, evil events? And he said, his mother always told him, look for the helpers. So I want to talk about the helpers who reminded us that this one hate-filled man did not represent a city that was in fact full of loving people who were standing with us. And I want to talk about the spontaneous makeshift memorial that sprung up on the corner of Wilkins and Shady, where the synagogue is located. Maybe you saw pictures of it in the media and the newspaper. Maybe you drove by it. Maybe you even contributed something to it. I was involved, I'm still involved with managing that memorial and all of the amazing things that people left for us. And I thought I'd tell you a little bit about the inventory and some of the stories behind it. So the centerpiece of the memorial is not something we planned. Within 24 hours of the attack, there appeared at the corner there 11 white wooden stars of David that were affixed. If you look from the back, they were crosses. And there's a gentleman, a retired carpenter in Aurora, Illinois. He has a little, it's not a business, it doesn't make money, I guess a nonprofit called Crosses for Losses. And he's the guy that hears in the news that there's been a mass shooting, and he makes these white wooden crosses with the victims' names on them and drives sometimes hundreds of miles to set them up. So he affixed the white Jewish stars to the crosses and drove through the night, and the police allowed him past the police tape so he could set up the 11 stars there. And they worked out even better than he probably imagined for us, because since the stars were affixed to a cross, the horizontal crossbar gave people somewhere to pile small stones, which is a Jewish mourning tradition. You might have seen there are 11 beautiful glass flowers on poles. They stand about 4 feet high. And it turns out there's an artist whose wife had passed away about a year and a half ago, and he was making all of these glass flowers and giving them to their family and to their friends to put in their gardens so they would see them and think about his wife and remember her. And as soon as he heard about our news, he had 11 of those flowers, and he just came and set them up right there behind the stars. And when I thanked him, I told him they were so beautiful there that we had decided we were going to keep them in the garden. And he told me that he would bring us 11 more, because that way we could keep them in the garden, and each family could also have one for their garden for their loss. So many candles, little tea lights and candles in glass pillar candles, pictures on them, Jewish stars, doves, angels, and Jesus. And they all nestled together there just beautifully. I guess it's Pittsburgh. People think and communicate in sports. So many baseballs, hockey sticks, hockey jerseys that teams had signed, terrible towels, brand new ones, not ones people just pulled out of the laundry. So many of those Steelers logos, the We Are Strong, right? With the Jewish star replacing the yellow diamond in that. And we found out that teams that were coming to Pittsburgh, high school and collegiate teams that were coming to play, were signing jerseys and leaving them there at the site for us as well. guitar. One day I showed up and there were 6 camp chairs set up, and I was kind of wondering aloud, like, where did they come from? And one of my friends said that he had been there the night before, and somebody had said, I really wish there was somewhere to sit. I would like to be able to kind of reflect. And somebody must have overheard them, and the next morning we have 6 camp chairs. This was really an interfaith operation, which we appreciated so much. Tibetan prayer flags, a whole chain of them there. Dozens and dozens of rosary beads. Sign, your Christian neighbors love you. My favorite item was it's a pair of sparkly, shiny gold high-top basketball sneakers. And on the white rubber toe of each sneaker, it says, peace be unto you. But the rub is that the one says, Shalom Aleichem, which is Hebrew, and the other one says, Salam Aleikum, which is Arabic. So I want to end by going back to the Mr. Rogers quote. Everybody was quoting it, right? Look for the helpers to make you feel better. But what was kind of lost is that Mr. Rogers made that quote because he was trying to instruct parents what to say to comfort children who were faced with some horrific event. And I only saw one person point out that, we're not children, we're adults. So there's kind of an extra step to Mr. Rogers' quote, which is that it is incumbent upon us as the adults not to look for the helpers, not just to point the helpers out to the children, but to be the helpers. And I want to thank the thousands of helpers who came out and created that absolutely glorious memorial, which was a rejection of evil and an example of acting to meet evil with decency and with love. And I want to thank you all for remembering us and for giving us a microphone today. And I want to assure you that we hear you, that we see you, that we feel you, and that it is a tremendous source of comfort for us and of strength because we are moving forward and we are stronger together. So thank you.